What's up everybody, I'm Brian from I Want Tesla, and today I'm finally lowering my car. Finally. And wouldn't you know, as soon as I put it up on jack stands, guess who shows up? I totally forgot I had an appointment today. I had a small problem with the seat sensor for the seatbelt on my passenger side. He calls me and tells me that he's going to be here in about 10 minutes, and I got my car jacked up, the wheels off of it, the frunk out of the car already, but whatever. He's a cool dude. We talked for a little bit. No, he was totally fine with it. Hopefully he doesn't tell Tesla. And hopefully you guys don't tell Tesla either. Today we're finally lowering the car. I've got some springs from T-Sportline. These are the 1-inch drop for the rear wheel drive, and I've had these things for quite a while now. This is the front spring and this is the rear spring. You would think it'd be the other way around, but you know what? A lot of the weight's in the back is the motor and the batteries. I've already done the driver's side front, and then I'm going to show you on the passenger side. I wanted to do one first before I show it to you because it's going to be a kind of fast pace, and it's always easier the second time you do it. It wasn't very difficult, and I did everything in-house. I didn't take it anywhere, and it's not very difficult. A 1-inch drop, you're not going to really need to have it aligned because these cars really drive straight anyway. They're very, very good about their geometry of the front suspension, but your camber is going to be off a little bit, which is going to be better for the track, which I'm happy for. And that's why I'm doing it, because I'm going to the track next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend. I'm going to be going the 25th and 26th, just north of Raleigh, Tesla Fest East. It's going to be absolutely fun. You should come. You can come spectate if you'd like. You don't have to be on the track. There's going to be vendors. I'm going to be there. There's going to be other YouTubers there. It's going to be a fun time. I might even take you out on my car on the track. I'm not going to do too many laps because I want to save my tires for driving out west. I'm more on that soon, but let's get to it. So before we get into the I've had it on the car for about 2 days now, and it takes a little bit it takes some miles to actually settle the suspension down a little bit because it's been extended for a while in the box. You know, it takes the weight of the car to really get the ride height, really get to where it's going to settle out at. Because right away when I put the suspension on, the rear sat lower than the front. Now it's pretty even. So I'm extremely pleased with it. And I should have done this a long time ago, but I've been kind of waiting because I knew I wanted to do the suspension, but I kind of wanted to see if I can work with the company for a coilover suspension, because those are more adjustable and you can dial it in perfectly for when it's just on the track versus on the road. But this is a great compromise because those are very, very expensive, and most people aren't going to do that. This from T-Sportline, I think when I bought it, it was $325. Now I think it's close to $250. I can't remember for sure. I did pay for this. I did not get it for free from T-Sportline. I bought this so long ago. I don't even think they knew who I was at the time, but now they do. T-Sportline is a pretty awesome company. And if you're going to buy anything from them, they do offer a discount of, not really a discount, it's $50 off if you spend over $500. A lot of their stuff is over $500 because they have quality stuff. Use the link down below if you're going to, because you get $50 off and I get $50. So in these 2 days I've been driving around, the ride is a little harsher than the stock suspension. It's a good harsh. It's a good precision harshness. It's not uncomfortable at all, not too low, because this is as low as what the Model 3 Performance has. Like I said, I should have done this a long time ago, but I had things planned for the car, like the front splitter, and then I had to have the Sliplow product put on there to stop the scrape before I lowered it. Now my incline into certain driveways, and I will really have to watch out for parking structures. So luckily I don't run into those very much, literally. But I do scrape coming into my driveway now if I go straight on at speed. I kind of have to go at an angle, and that's kind of what you need to do. Speed bumps are okay. That's just because I have that front splitter from Teslarati on the front of this car. All carbon fiber. The stance is what I was looking for. I hated the 4x4 look. Model 3s look like they have an air ride suspension and it's stuck on high all the time. I'm able to lower the suspension the way I want it, and I think it looks amazing. Hopefully you think so too. And if you want to stick around to see how my install went, that'll be after this. But here's some glamour shots of the car. A nice North Carolina weather day. A little chilly, but really nice. First things first is you need to take out the frunk. And if you don't know how to take out the frunk, you call yourself a subscriber? Come on, you should know how to do that by now. I've done it many times. And then you really just have to worry about these 3 screws. A lot of people stress about getting these 3 screws out. It's a 13mm socket, but I bought a thin wall socket and it doesn't fit. It's really tight. It can't get in there. I found the solution. And all you need is a 13mm socket like this. They're very thin. And look at that, it fits right in there. It could not be any bigger. If that was a 14 millimeter, this probably wouldn't fit. So what you can do is you loosen these three up just a little bit, loosen them. That's all you have to do. Jack the car up. Now I've got it jacked up on all four now. This is the only safe way to jack your car up without a lift. And the 3 bolts, you're going to remove this. This is the top linkage from the sway bar. This bolt right here is what you're going to loosen up. You're going to put a jack underneath here so this doesn't drop down really hard. And those 3 on top. You remove all those and it's going to come out. You have to fight with it a little bit. You have to kind of have to push down on the rotor and really fight it to get it out, but it comes out just fine. You don't have to disassemble much more than that. If you want to, you can take apart this whole front assembly and really waste a lot of time, really. But you can do that if you'd like. I'll do that and I'll show you what it looks like on the ground, and then we're going to do the scariest part. And we're going to compress the spring. I'm going to show you how to do that, and that is the most dangerous part of this. So, that is a Torx 30. This will spin if you don't hold that in place. Torx 30 bit and 18 millimeter. A 21 millimeter wrench and a 21 millimeter socket, and at the bottom, we're going to break that loose. So you loosen those up, take those completely out. You need a magnet to get those out. Again, this is removed. This right here is loosened up. Probably, you might not be able to see it, but this is loosened up and still in place. We're gonna pull that out once we put some weight onto here. This is gonna be able to be dropped now. Now that that bottom bolt's out, this can move up and down, and the strut assembly is free. Now we just need to wiggle the bottom out towards the rotor and kind of wiggle it out. I'm using a pry bar or a breaker bar and kind of wedging it underneath to push this whole assembly down because it wants to spring up a little bit. If you wanted to, you can remove this if you'd like, and then drop this whole assembly down. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not going to do that. There is enough room in the rear-wheel drive versions to do this. The all-wheel drive, there's not that much room, and you do need to remove this. Just keep that in mind. The directions are different per vehicle. Ooh, hey. So here is the look of what the strut looks like. This is the bottom half. Keep in mind what orientation these 3 are. That is a very tricky part to this whole setup once you're reinstalling this. I'm going to take it over to the bench, clamp this down. It's easier on the bench, and I'll show you. You know what, let me just do that. So this is the dangerous part. We need to remove this spring, and this is a spring compressor. I rented this for free, really, from AutoZone. You can rent it for you pay $55 and then you get the money back once you return it. Or I guess you can buy it for $55 and never return it, but they do have your phone number. Basically what the directions say, you're compressing the spring. So you want to get this tight-ish. And then there's little pins, and I'm missing one. And that just allows it so it doesn't pop out. And this one is a 20 millimeter socket. You're looking at this, well, you're going to be lifting the car. Well, this is under tension, and we need to release that tension before we can take off this nut right here. So we can take this cap off to put the spring inside here. You get the idea now. What we're going to do now is tighten these up to basically compress the spring, and that's why it's called a spring compressor. That wasn't 10 minutes, but you get the idea of compressing this, releases tension off of this, and now we can remove this. Now, just like that other, this will spin, the shaft will spin, but we have to get that nut off. That's a 17 millimeter socket, not that one. I have a feeling that's spinning. Maybe not. Sometimes they spin. The other one spun. That was under just a hair of tension. But the whole thing comes out just fine now. This is the boot. And there is a bump stop as well that goes in there. Just remember, the big side goes up. The little side goes down. Just like that. And we're going to reassemble that the same way. I'm going to utilize some clamps and pull out this spring. And here's the spring. Be careful, this is still loaded with a lot of power right now. You don't just want to throw this on the ground, let these spring off. And it might be kind of cool to see, but also scary. So this will slide right in, and we're going to go to the bump stop here. We have to remove those spring compressors first and put them on this. Doing these by hand is a great workout, so if you don't want to go to the gym that day, don't use an impact gun. But remember, the boot goes on pointy side down. Slide this on, and what we want to look for is to see if we can seat this on there, which is great, but the orientation is way off. So I remembered that the orientation was like this. It was pretty much up and down. These two were straight up and down. You know, you can measure this if you'd like to. I'm eyeballing it here. That's very important. And then you want to put the nut on the top. Yeah, that looks like it's spinning. So what I did before, because the other one spun, put the 17mm socket on there, clamp down, and then take the Allen key, an Allen wrench, and tighten it up. Actually, no, you want to loosen the Allen key, because that will tighten the nut. That'll pull the thread out. And this is only done at 20 pounds. Now, if you had an open socket wrench or something, a deep socket, open socket wrench, there's different tools for that. But all you need to do is get it fairly secure, and that's it. Now we're going to loosen these up, and you're going to have to step those out a little bit as you loosen them. But we're going to loosen this up, and we're going to go back to the car. Now we put it back in the car in reverse order and take a break. So now the passenger side's all in place. Can't really tell a whole lot of difference because all we did was replace the black spring with another black spring. So it looks very similar. I'm going to move on to the back. I'm going to do the driver's side again by myself without you guys. And then I'll bring you over to the passenger side. And once I learn how to do the driver's side, and then we'll button everything up and I'll show you some pictures at the end. Okay, the back is not as hard. What you need to do is you need to take this plate off. And I'm assuming you've watched a few of these videos already. There's a few of them online. But this is a 10mm bolt there. You drop this panel off so you can get to this bolt and this bolt. You loosen these up and you put some pressure underneath here, put the jack underneath here. And then you can remove these. That will drop this, which you can grab the spring out of here. It's just held in. It's just held in by this actually being in place. And then, but before you can take it out, you have to remove this shock. And there's two 15mm bolts up there. You remove those and they stay with the panel or with the bracket up there. You remove this just to get it out of the way so you can get the new spring and put the new spring in place. And there's just a rubber mount on the top and a rubber mount on the bottom. You compress, put these things in place, and that's about it. First thing we're going to do, 10mm socket to remove that plate. Loosen the two bolts, just loosen them, 18 or 21mm each. And then I'm gonna get the jack and then put some pressure underneath that. You take that bolt out, 15mm, and all right. Then you remove that. And what you have left is the spring, kind of attached to some rubber grommets here. And really all you want to do is move the jack out of the way and force it down. And see, it's loose. You can bring it right up. I'm going to take the rubber bottom one and put it right back in place. I feel that it's easier to set the spring in place with this down. And I'll replace it onto the other spring. I absolutely love the way the car turned out. Hopefully you guys do too. Leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome, stay positive. And if you watched all the way to the end, you're probably one of those people that know how to take out the frunk. Because you know what the frunk is going on. That's bad. I'm sorry. I'll catch you on the next one.